Want to talk about how to book more corporate holiday parties. And we broke it down into three things we're going to do to move on up. The first one, we need to target your messaging. Second one, we need to create a sales page. Third, we want to talk about adding new value. On this first one, the idea of targeting your messaging, we talk about this every time and we lead with this, is that we have to pick one person and build that journey fully for that one person. Age-old advice that goes back to a man considered one of the grandfathers of advertising, Mr. Claude Hopkins, that just says we can't go after thousands until we learn how to win one. And what we usually see is what a part that's falling off from that journey is the nurturing. That after they've taken the tour, how are we getting them to book another tour? How are we getting them to tell someone else about the tour? And looking at some of those things. So really look at that full customer journey. And that's why using one person is going to be so much easier. And people get scared to do this. They get really scared because they say, we are targeting way more than one person. To this, I compare it back to a love song. Adele didn't write a love song for 1 million people. She wrote it for one, but 1 million people still connected with it. And that's what you'd want you to do when you think about that page, what you're writing, when you make it for one person. If you make it so specific to that one person, we're still going to get other people to connect with it. It's a weird little thing of getting so specific, but what we get out of it is going to be a lot more wide. That's going to capture some of those people. But figure out who that person is. Is it Elizabeth? Is it John? Is it Mark? Is it Brittany? Because all of them, you'd have a different conversation. If I were to sit you down in front of these people, you would have a different conversation with each one based on their needs. And that's why it's going to be easier when we focus on one. Let's focus on the need, focus on the problem that person has and how we solve that problem for them. So start with one. Once we know who we're writing to, then we can go through and create a really great sales page. And on that sales page, we want to make sure we keep it focused on them, what they're getting out of it. And some other copywriting tips here. So from Adam and I, we put a few of these together. You want to avoid putting too many sales arguments in a single sentence. So if you look at the sentence on the left, we have a simple way to book. We have holiday experience. We have dietary restriction. We have memorable experience. We have a lot of things we're trying to say inside that one sentence. So instead of trying to fit everything inside of there, see what you can do to simplify some of these sentences. Get them down a little more. Your holiday experience can be customized to meet your dietary needs. We've said what they need to know. We've made it more about them. These are some of the things we want to look at. So when you're writing this page, avoid talking about how amazing you are. Keep focused on them, solving that problem for them. They have a problem that they need to get their team together for a corporate holiday event. Talk about why your tour is the perfect solution to that problem. We want to avoid telling people every little thing that's included. Don't sell the farm. What we want to sell is curiosity a lot of times, and especially for the corporate holiday groups. Unlike direct bookings, we don't need to give them every piece of information so they click book and buy right then and there. With the corporate holiday groups, a lot of them should be talking to you first. And so that means the job of this page is just to get someone to get on the phone with you. Meaning we don't need to give them everything on that page. I need to get them curious enough to say, I need to call to find out more. So curiosity, keep that in mind. It's a thing you have to play with. We want to avoid starting sentences with we, our, or your name in the third person. I hate rhetorical questions. There's a big reason I hate rhetorical questions, is that if we think about all the steps that needed to happen for someone to get all the way to your website, they needed to find out about you. They needed to sit down, punch in the URL or search for it, find your page, land on your page. And we get this nice big headline and we're going to give them a rhetorical question. Kills me. We should be using any of those headlines, any of these areas to express your value. Talk about why you're great. Talk about why they're going to love this tour and try to avoid rhetorical questions. Finally, avoid witty taglines or trying to make things sound grandiose. We want to keep it easy for them. Don't complicate it. Don't put in too many adverbs. Don't put in too many adjectives before it. Just real careful on those. So some of the things to avoid. On the do side, we want to start sentences with you. So on the left, we can see how this sentence is written about the company. Our corporate holiday experience has been designed. Like, oh, I don't I don't need to know you designed it. I need to know what's in it for me. Make it shorter, cut to the end of it. You'll be picked up at your office to enjoy this year's entertaining holiday party. Start it with you, keep it focused on what they're going to get out of it. So a few more things on the do side. Keep in mind your target guest question. They just want to know what's in it for me. When someone gets that page, they want to know what is in it for me. What do I get? Answer that question as best you can. Use short, direct sentences. We generally recommend writing at about a 7th grade reading level. Try to use as few words as possible. Adam calls me out on this one all the time. I've got a bad that problem. I slap that's in sentences. Adam, almost all that's, can we rarely need to actually use a that. All right.
So
no one else.
There, know the difference between that and which, you know, that's a Googleable question. Difference between that.
All right. Read those sentences, cut out the unnecessary words. And then finally, one of the big ones, I want you to write for real people. Don't just write for search engines. We don't need to try and fool the search engine. We don't need to try and put that word in there 30 times just to make sure Google's picking it up. Write for real people, not search engines. There should be a better search strategy in place that we don't need to be jamming words inside of this page to try and rank higher. Doing that is one of 200 different factors that affects your ranking. Let's look at some of the ones that are maybe higher priority than trying to jam in this page and making it feel cheap and making it feel worse to the person. Finally, last component here, adding new value. What can we do to add new value? How can you make this corporate holiday experience different? What else can you put inside of it? Can we allow upgrade options that maybe you don't offer a photographer or videographer normally on a private tour, but for this holiday experience, it's an upgrade option. They can choose to have that and capture this and have some good photos for their entire team. Including holiday themed swag. Is there anything you can put inside of there to add on to the value? And then even creating a holiday specific experience. Is there a stop at a spot that has holiday decorations set up? Is there something else you can do inside of there to make it more specific? And all of these things, what we're trying to do is obfuscate the value. We don't want them to see this as $75 per ticket for 20 people. We want them to see, I'm getting all this stuff that I can even begin to break down. Look, I'm getting a videographer. I'm going to get all this swag for my team, and if it's $5,000, yeah, that sounds right. So look at what else you can put in there to add new value, and this is going to be a big component of the group discussion coming up here after the presentation. So to recap, moving up, target your messaging, create that sales page, add new value, do these things, you'll book more holiday groups.